Hey, Dells Ducks fans, friends, and family members. We are here to do a different type of Quack Show. This would be the Quack Show episode 20. But what we're here to do is ask and answer some questions that have been going around lately. And I think it's a necessity to get this going correctly and get it out there. Why junior hockey is the main topic of this. And it's going to be a little bit of a broad statement here and stuff that we're going to go over. But the key is to see if we can help answer questions for parents and players that are looking to go to junior hockey or looking to stay with junior hockey, and see if we can help other people figure things out. Well, who I got on today is I have Jimmy D. He's been with us for a long time and with day one, and Jimmy over here is a great knowledge of the game of hockey and the stuff that we do as Ducks, and he sees both sides of it, as the Duck side and the he also deals with our, the parents and the billets and that stuff on the other side, and all of our media stuff. We also got Aaron Kirby. Aaron Kirby is the rink owner, and he's been with the Ducks from day one too, and has a boy who's been in the world of hockey too, and he's also been involved in the world of hockey with rinks and teams and all that kind of stuff. And then I got Ali Chaudhry here. Ali's been involved with the more in the Texas area, but with the youth organizations here and with the with the Ducks program currently, and been around with many different pros and all different type of people, and he deals with families and board members. He's been board members, all that kind of stuff too. And then I brought two players. I brought Anthony Falzone and Dawson Blue. Both were first-time players last year, and they're going to get their opinion about last year and answer a few questions about how their season went, and they're both our returners and answer questions about why they decided to return. But the key to start off here is we want to start off with why junior hockey. And the biggest thing about this topic is, gentlemen, is that we want to make sure we answer the question that people are wondering about out there. And lately, my phone's been going crazy with different questions, like how do you pick the correct junior team? Well, there's a lot to that. And, one of the biggest things that's coming down is research. And the research is a wide variety of options you can do there. But the biggest part of it would be, figuring out what questions you can ask and what kind of responses should you be getting when you ask those questions to learn about the program. And when I mean the program, I'm talking about the team itself. I'm talking about the organization. I'm talking about the coaches. Right. I'm not looking at just a record of a team. I'm looking at who's there, why these players picked this program, things about the coaches. So, guys, I'm going to open the floor here. And, if anybody can come up with a couple of questions that they think that parents are asking, or we can start moving from there. So, like, for instance, making promises. This is the topic that I got. When I meet with parents, the first thing I always tell them and players is, here's the deal. I will not promise you anything with ice time. I'm not going to promise you that you're going to be the number one player, the worst player. All I can promise you is that when you leave this season, if you put the effort in, that you'll become a better hockey player than the day that you came in. That is one of the big things that I tell players, and it's telling the player the truth. I can't promise you a spot because I don't know where you're going to land. I don't know how the team's fully going to be. Who knows if you're going to come and do the work that I think you're going to do. And that is a prime area and a major question that you got to ask. Any comments on that, guys?
Well, I guess I'll start off. As a guy that's been around the industry for quite a while, as a parent, the first question I would ask is, what's the area like? What's a team atmosphere like? What kind of issues off the ice do me as a parent have to worry about? There's some organizations that, quite frankly, are in areas where I wouldn't want my kid to even drive through. But going back to what you said with promises, in my experience, if a coach is given a promise before he's even had a chance to put the team together on the ice, that should be raising red flags. When you say you're not going to promise ice time, I'd like to elaborate that a little bit. You're promising that kid might not get ice time during a game. Correct. But what you can promise especially with our situation with me as the owner of the rink and our current, we're in a weird market here. Our youth organization isn't huge. We actually share ice with the local community. It's a co-op. So the unique situation that you have as an owner and a coach, Sean, is you can tell and promise every parent that calls you that their kid, I think without question, is going to have the opportunity to get as much ice time as they want, more so than any other team in the country. And I'll be hard pressed to find any team that the owner of the rink is going to allow them to literally use the ice if it's dead at any time for free. Because that's what I do for you guys.
Yep.
You guys are there day in and day out. You help me around the rink, which is fabulous. You help out the local kids. And then in turn, if I have dead ice, any player can get on that ice and work on skills. They can get on with a coach and work with a goalie. They can work on anything. If there's another organization out there that can promise that, I'll be shocked.
No, and I agree, and that's one of the conversations we do have. When I say for players that it's what the work you put into it that you become out better. I mean, Kirby's exactly right. There's so much ice time. I mean, our normal schedule starts goalies go on at 8:30 in the morning. Players go on at 9 a.m. The goalies get warming up first so we can keep them from taking headshots in the morning and ringing their bells the first step of the practice there. But then we go until almost 10:15, 10:30, and we do the whole practice there. And then from there, they will step away and they'll go do yoga or off ice conditioning. They have two different trainers for those, and the players will go out there and they'll do that training. And then later on, we usually come back and we do skills depending on what's available that day or what extra ice is not taken. We'll jump out and we'll do skills as individual skills, line skills, player skills, defense, offense, that kind of stuff. But then there's players that can take advantage of the extra ice where, like we do our jobs around the rink where we'll clean up. We'll make sure that everything's done for, Kirby. That way he doesn't have to do it himself. And the players can take ownership of the rink in that way. And we get the extra ice from there where these guys can go on where, goalies can take shots from players. I've seen that happen a lot. I've seen players go out and work on their own and set up their own drills and do things that coach told them earlier they need them to work on. They'll go out and work on those kind of stuff. So the ice is a big major part of that, right? I mean, you have to have the ability to get on and take advantage of it. Now, players taking advantage of it, this is where you find out if a player is very serious about getting better or not. And those are the type of things that we got to make sure we keep an eye on. But so exactly, promises, it's a big part of it, right? So, what about these coaches that come out and I've been told, hey, this coach promised me I'm going to be a number one line player. I'm going to be out every shift. And my question becomes can you take that as a serious comment? Like they're offering you this, they're promising you this, but what happens if you get hurt? What if you get in trouble? What if you break the rules and now you're not playing at all? Did you break your promise or was your promise not true? Those are the type of questions that I've been getting asked lately from parents. Anybody want to jump in it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the, promises being made. You also look at the organization you're playing for or where the coaches are making those promises at. The hockey in Southern Texas is a lot different than up north in Wisconsin or Minnesota. A player would prefer to play for a high school team up in Minnesota than, play at, a select team. Compared to Texas, they rather play for a select team than a high school team. And, it's at the end of the day, it should be all about developing these kids, right? And hockey is one of, few sports that are still continuously growing in a rapid pace. And stopping a kid's progress and making promises that, you can't upheld, I think it makes it harder for the kids to trusting the next level wherever they go to.
Yeah, and there's a continue off of that area there. You got to look at all the organizations. You got to see what they are. You're talking about management, how they're ran. For all summer long, I could ask the question, how was my season last year? And then I tell them there's two ways to look at the season. One was, hey, record-wise, we didn't do so well. But on the other hand, we were playing against OHL and WHL kids in the league. And I told him, I said, you take this team that was the majority of rookies. I mean, 3/4 rookies, and then you had a few veterans in there. But the veterans are pretty much rookies too, because they don't know what I run. They don't know how I run things. So, and they didn't know any of the coaches coming in, so they were brand new to it too. And then you're going against these kids that are literally paid to play hockey. I mean, in the OHL and WHL, you give up your college eligibility to go get this, and they give you money when you play there. So these guys come down and play tier 3. So it was rough for us. I mean, yes, the players got to play against high-end players. The bad part was, it's unfortunately those kids are better than us, and they could take advantage of situations that we gave them. But the players got to learn from that at the same time. So it's a plus and minus. But if you ask me the other way, the season was amazing. I think I had a group of kids that were outrageous, that were great. The best hockey family that I've ever seen. This was a group of guys that, even though you can tell one or two didn't like each other, they would still stand up for each other. Excuse me. They would support each other in every which way they could. And I think that's a big part of the game. And I think that's a big part of how my season went with the Ducks last year. So, you have to look at how did they handle that? How did the office staff, how did the management, the coaching staff, how did they handle the season? Did they keep pushing their players to fight through everything, or because they're playing against these high-end kids, did we all just give up? And I think that's a big part of it, other than just looking at what a record is. But, and Anthony and Blue, I mean, you guys are both been there, right? So you've seen through that season, Anthony, hockey family, did you feel that you found out something about hockey being with that group of guys?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was just like that compared to any youth team you play for is just 10 times different. Like everyone's always with each other. No one's ever left like alone. Like you never see someone going out and like just being by themselves. Everyone's always with a group of people. And like you guys are always just bonding like all the time. If it's back at the billet house or out getting food or just in the lobby, just kind of relaxing, you're all still together no matter what.
I mean, Blue, you lived with different kids. You got to see different people that you didn't know quite that had it beforehand. I know we had a few Texas kids there, but other than those guys, did you feel like, I guess you could say you didn't get along with everybody all the time, but it was the hockey family idea that I'm talking about.
Right, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a couple guys that didn't always like each other, at certain areas, but even on the ice and even off the ice, it was, we're the Ducks, and you can see that through any which way you want to look at it. We were probably the tightest knit group that I've ever seen play hockey, at least as long as I've played. Anthony might say the same, but we were the tightest group of guys and family that I've ever seen.
And Jimmy, you got to see it from a different view. You were the guy with taking care of the media and taking care of all that stuff. So you got to watch the games, and I know the games were frustrating from some of the times, of course. But you look at it as, did the Ducks give up when they could have given up? I don't know where your opinion on that one was.
Yeah. Well, I as far as that specific thing goes, it was really impressive, almost to a fault, that the guys were lined up. It didn't matter who they were playing. They came on the ice, not thinking they were going to win, knowing they were going to win, like confident of victory night after night. And it didn't matter what had happened the night before. So I think that they believed in each other. I'm just talking about last year's team. They just really believed in each other. It was really unique. I mean, I'd never seen a team like that kind of came from that kind of struggles and still took the ice super confident. It was kind of baffling, actually.
I mean, there would be the guys that would score a goal and we're down 10-0, and we're still fighting to put that puck in the net so we can ruin a shutout, or
Right.
and then I got the videos of the guys scoring a goal and ruining a shutout, and we're celebrating like we won the Stanley Cup. And on the other hand, we didn't win nothing, but we just put a puck in the net. But it was good to see. And that was the one thing about the boys never giving up was really impressive.
And I just want to add too, Sean, that it wasn't just the boys not giving up. It was the coach and the management and the ownership, because I remember sitting in your office one day and you had the opportunity to bring in some top guys from overseas, and you struggled with it. Here we're having a terrible season record wise. But we sat and we talked it through, and the commitment that you made to the parents of these players and the commitment that you made to the players ultimately resulted in you saying, you know what? I didn't come here to win a title. I didn't come here to win every game. My focus, and that's what the Ducks focus has been since day one, is we're not here to win, a championship. We're here to develop players ethically, morally, and respectfully. So these kids can move up. If they move up in 1 month, we did our job.
Yep.
If they move up in the following season, we did our job. The Ducks organization, with you at the helm now, is no different than it's always been. And that is, the players come first. And moving the player on to have a better opportunity, wherever that may be, that's the way it's going to be. And that's, I remember, there was a season, a few years back where, I think only had lost maybe 5 games all year. The top player was asked to move up, and the coach said, absolutely. He could have said no, and that's what this organization has always been about. It's always been about players. And if there's any parents out there that are questioning, whether or not they should allow their son to move out of the house and go somewhere, those are the questions that they need to be asking is, what does the organization do? What have they done? And speak to some of the kids that have been there, because they'll tell you the truth. And all season this year, yeah, like you said, the season was bad with respect to record. But, every season we have a player or two quit. It's inevitable. Homesickness, whatever the case may be. This year, I don't know how many kids I talked to, and the end result was, hey, I'm getting better. Why should I leave? I'm getting better. And that, as a coach, as an organization, as a parent wanting to move their kids, that's what you should be looking for, or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you're right. That was definitely a hard decision for sure. But, we are there. That's what we're there for, to develop the players. And if I pick a player to play for us, I'll stick by that player until he doesn't want to be there no more, or, he moves up and goes up to the next level. And even then, I still help them out for a few of our guys. A couple of my guys are still playing.
And also, like you say, it comes down to rules too. I mean, this organization has rules. I was just talking to a junior player last weekend that plays on a team in our own league, and off ice, the coach basically said, do whatever you want. I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. So they were out partying every night. They were drinking every night. They were, unfortunately, doing some minor drugs, as he stated, girls in, girls out. And that's not what this organization is. And parents, that's the ultimate reality in junior hockey. There's 85% of the teams out there don't care. They're in it for the money. And you need to make sure that you find a team that has rules. And there's some good quality teams out there. I'm not just saying the Ducks is the only one. There's plenty, but you got to do your homework, because the horror stories that we hear year after year after year, or even every weekend when a different team comes into play and you're able to talk to a kid in the hallway, you hear about these billet experiences where one kid came here from the North American League a few years back, and he had to sleep in the bathtub because the mice and the bugs were so bad in his room. And he ended up quitting the North American team and coming to the Ducks because he had just an unbelievable experience. And he can't be the only one.
Yeah, and that comes back to that research we're talking about, right? Like asking those questions, talking to people. Here's my thing is that, I recommend, in my opinion, that you need to talk to some players. If you really want to find out how it is, ask the coach to give you some names of players or parents. And of course, I'll be honest, we'll ask the parents before we give out their phone number, of course. But I can guarantee you, I can give you any one of our players' names and numbers, and their parents will talk to you and the kids will talk to you, and I think you should get more than one opinion. for, a good, examples is some kids didn't get many playing time, and different leagues, different teams, they're all different rules, right? I think our lowest player was 20 games, for the season. Other than that, they were higher. There were a couple of people higher. Blue's a good example. Blue played 23 games. So Blue would be a player that I would come in and ask a question, talk to him and see what his opinion of the season was. For example, Blue. So you got 23 games in. Did you feel that over that season you became a better hockey player, or did not having all those games, not playing the total 46 games, did that affect you?
I think I got better after the first game. If I'm being 100% honest, I changed completely. It's faster, bigger guys, and make decisions quicker. So you instantly just turn off and just muscle memory. I became so much better within just practice. And to be honest, I don't think the games, I mean, me and you even had a conversation to where it's, you can play all the practices you want, but once it's game time, it's muscle memory at that point. But I think overall practice, even if you're not playing as many games, practice is 1000% worth it, hands down.
And I agree. And Blue was a player that came in the beginning of the season. He was told ahead of time that he'd be a fifth line player working his way in the lineup. And then by the end of the season, Blue was the kid that you couldn't sit. He didn't give you a reason. He was the kid that he's not going to score you 100 goals. No offense, Blue, but you're not. But on the other hand, he's the kid that goes out and gives 120% every shift, and he does his 45 seconds. And I know in those 45 seconds, will he be perfect? No. But at the same time, will I know he give it everything he has? Yes. And if he makes a mistake, he'll be the one to go chase after it and fix it, or go after it and not make that mistake again. That is why Blue earned the time and earned the ability to come back and be a player who's in the lineup and now is battling to keep his spot there. And again, he's not promised that he's going to see 46 games, but what he's promised now is, hey, you're going to get the opportunity to come prove yourself and keep going the way you ended the season. If you can do that, good things will happen. And, and Blue made that decision to come back to the Ducks this year. And we were excited to get him back because I don't think there's a player who works harder than him, and so those are things that you got to make sure that you talk to players about and see what their answers are. Now, does everybody love us? No. There's a people out there who leave a team because they were unhappy. It wasn't the right fit for them. They felt they could do better somewhere else. I mean, there's always different reasons, but talk to more than one person, get more than one opinion, and Blue played defense to start off with, and then he went to offense, and he will be sticking in offense from now on. But he was a guy that got moved around, and he took every situation and tried to make the best out of it and worked harder and harder to try to be better and better at whatever spot he played. Even our goalie situation for Anthony here, Anthony had 18 games out of 46. That's not very many. And, and I don't know, Anthony, go ahead and tell me about how you felt with that.
Practices were a huge thing. Like Blue said, I only played 18 games, and some of them I didn't even start. They were more of me coming in and out of relief or just as to help keep the team going. But practices were a big part of it. Like, you get a lot better in practices and in games. Games are going to help you with more experience, while practices are going to help you in skill wise. But like I had, like you said, 18 games out of 46. So I barely even played. I didn't play half the games, but I feel like I'm 10 times better than when I showed up there. And then with me coming back this year, I'll be more experienced and ready to play against kids. And with the OHL guys that we played against, I'm never going to see those kids again unless Canada stays shut down. So I really shouldn't have to, those are the hardest shots you're going to see up until the NHL almost. So if I can stop one of those or experience getting shot on by one of those, I feel like there's nothing else to really worry about over there. And only having 18 games, I still enjoyed myself just as much as I would have played all 46. Like, I even could have played one game, and I feel would have had the same amount of fun there.
Oh, let me add a couple of questions here. I know both of you guys, players, are from, Texas now. Anthony, I know you've been up north, but let me start with Blue. Blue, will you describe your path, a hockey path, from youth all the way up till before you signed last year?
How would I describe it?
Yeah, like what was
was-
your path all through youth hockey into, you know, high school, travel, whatever that might be, until you signed last year?
It was pretty comfortable, and then something happened, and I had to switch rinks because I realized they weren't going to have a team. So I
Mhm.
was like, uh-oh, so now I got to figure out what I'm going to do. And luckily I had a person there at the rink that that helped me find a right area. And I don't think if I would have found that area, I wouldn't be here,
Mhm.
because if I stayed there, I feel like it would have been just, going just in and out of the motions. I wouldn't experience, change, different styles of play, different people, that different connections, you could say, as well. So I'm thankful for that one.
So right before last season, you decided to go with the Ducks. What option were on the table for you at that point?
I could have potentially went back to varsity hockey, even though I didn't play it, but I could have went back to play high school. I could have stayed with Travel Select, went to 18U.
Mhm.
I could have went there, and then maybe even done just junior camps and things that were going on around me. But
So-
I chose the Ducks, and I don't
Okay.
regret it at all. It was
Okay.
100% the right choice, 1000% the right choice.
So let me ask you this. So, you know, we talked to, you know, Kirby explained the ice situation and the practice times. How would you compare your weekly practice time that you have available to you in Wisconsin compared to what you could have done here down south?
You have so much ability to work on yourself here in Wisconsin with the ice. Thank you, Kirby. 1000%. Thank you. You get so much ice. I think one time, not even one time, there would be times where I would just get up at 6 a.m. just because, well, no one's there. The ice is open. Why not get a couple hours in and work and before practice? So there would be times where I'm skating at least six hours a day almost, with the first and second practice included.
Mhm.
And that's amazing. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Mhm. So so let's go focus on Anthony. Anthony, you're a goalie, right? So
Mhm.
uh, your routine and your schedule and what is a little bit different than a player's is, right? And how would you describe your practice schedule up in Wisconsin compared to what you could have had down here in Texas?
So here in Texas, when I played the year before for the Warriors, I had 3 practices a week and then a weekend of games, but nothing was ever focused on goalies except for one day. And then just in the Dells, it's every morning's the goalie session. So you work on your own stuff. You get warmed up every morning. That's at 8:30, and then the practices are a lot more intense, a lot more fast paced. But I'm on the ice almost 10 times more than I would be here in Texas, and it's better. It's better ice time too, up in Dells.
And a quick question for both of you guys. What would you say is the main part in a game play that you feel like what you practice translate into your game play?
Anthony, you want to go first on this one? I don't know.
Ali, I'm gonna need you to repeat that question.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys do in your practice that you feel like is have made a huge impact in your game play? Is it the amount of time of practice that you have, or is it just the quality of practice or the coaches that you have there? What have contributed to your gameplay from your practice time into your games?
I feel like it's gonna be a little mix between the coaches and what you're working on to the what you're working on specifically. Like for example, like one game I was getting beat a certain way every time, and so I grabbed one of the players and we spent an hour of working on that specific thing because I know that's what it's a move a lot of players these ages use. They'll cut to the crease and like kind of try to go short side or wrap it around the goalie. So I grabbed one of my players and we worked on it for about an hour, that same move over and over again, and so I was able to get it down. So I feel like that's something like working on specifics and giving us time, given the amount of time that we have of ice, is you're able to do that kind of thing.
How about you, Blue?
I kind of have a kind of opposite way of looking at that. Anthony was talking about like, specifics, and that's, he's a goalie. He's a different position than me.
Mhm.
But there'll be times in games where, of course, we as a team, we have our set plays, our set breakouts. Some of the times that's not going to work, right? It's not always going to be picture perfect. So it opens a door of creativity, of, what else can I do to get by this guy or by this team, or, make sure he gets the puck with speed. It's completely opens creativity. And that's where I feel like the muscle memory comes in, of just realizing this is where my guy is. Let's make that correct play or try something else that might also work.
All right, so a quick follow-up on what you guys just said. Do you feel like what you were able to accomplish with the Ducks, or just any junior team that have this set up for you guys, do you feel like by playing in Texas, you guys had the same opportunity, meaning that playing the game, analyzing what you need to work on, and then implementing that in your practices?
Not a shot. You wouldn't be able to do that at all in Texas. It's more, in my opinion, coaches and just the way people are in Texas, they only want to win. If they don't have a winning record, then they feel like it was a joke of a year, or they just didn't need it. And so I feel like in Wisconsin, we didn't really focus on just getting wins. We focused on more improving. And so I feel like you just wouldn't be able to do anything to improve yourself in Texas. And it's all because kids want to win. So they'll go play for the number one team just to get a win under their belt. And they'll just get another medal sitting on their shelf, when you can actually get better and improve and maybe go further if you go play juniors or somewhere that's better than Texas hockey.
I agree with Anthony 1,000%. He's hit the nail right on the head. You can't. I mean, everyone wants to win, no doubt about it. But are you getting better on this winning team that you may or may not even be playing in those games, or not even trying that well in practice? Or are you going to a team that might not have the best record, but you're improving at literally every day, almost every hour? You just do something different, you learn something different. So that's a way to look at it as well.
Yeah, and the thing that I like to go by is I'd rather play for a team that's better for me than the better team, because I feel like you'll improve 10 times more if you feel like it's a better organization, better learning organization, I can say. Because it's going to be you guys are going to try to you guys are trying to move us on.
Mhm.
And I feel like a Texas team's going to be more selfish and hold their players down so they can just keep winning over and over again. Because a lot of teams in Texas, those top teams, are teams that have been together since they've been 14 years old. And if those kids want to move on anywhere, the coaches won't let them because they want to keep winning. And the players have no issue with that because they want to keep winning too.
Well, Jimmy, I got a question for you since we're on the same topic. Jimmy's seen all of our players from 11, 10 years now. We've been together. And out of our Ducks team, I mean, have you seen players move up? I mean, I know you still keep in contact on the guys and keep track of them, but have you seen players still moving on, or at least after their couple of years of juniors, to watch them move on, other than just college hockey?
Well, we've had a number of players that have gone on to play minor league pro hockey. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
overall, yeah.
I mean, that's a thing that's available. The key is, I think, that at this point, it might even have been different when you were at Aurora, Coach. Maybe you might be able to speak to it, but I think at this point, it really is impossible to get the college experience without having some kind of a junior resume. There was a time, I think, when a lot of kids went straight from high school. They had a lot of potential, and maybe they went to a D3 school. I mean, there's ACHA that's available, but I think if you're looking, like, if your goal is to play pro hockey at some level down the road, then I really think it's important that you go the junior route, and maybe Kirby can add something to that too.
Yeah, there's definitely in the 10-year history of the Ducks, there are a handful of kids that have gone on and play minor pro, both here in the States and overseas.
Right.
And there's a couple players that I still keep in contact with. I mean, over the years, you form great relationships with the players and also the parents, and that speaks volumes as well. I mean, it's just good kids. I mean, there's definitely opportunities. You gotta come with a mindset that you're gonna work hard. You're here for a reason. I've seen one of our first years, I saw just an amazing defensive player. that gave up a chance to play at an extremely high level because his girlfriend didn't want him to. And then a month later, girlfriend breaks up, and here he is playing, for a technical school, if I'm not mistaken. It's about what you do off the ice too. We had a young man, talented, again, a defensive player, pro contract, ready to go, and Facebook caught up with him. The things you do off the ice, and they rescinded his contract. So this organization is known for having good kids. And, I talk with parents every weekend when they're here for a game. And I'll tell you what gives me more joy than anything I'm at a loss for words, but what gives me more joy when dealing with this team is having a mom literally thank you and start crying because her son has now become a man. He's matured over the course of the season. She no longer has to worry about him. He's completely different and in the best way possible. That to me is priceless. And it happens quite a bit. Blue, your mom was flabbergasted on how you matured in just a month. She couldn't believe it. And another player, he had been there for a couple of years, and last year was his last year, and both mom and dad were crying with me because I'm a softie, believe it or not. And they know that what their child experienced here for the Ducks organization is something that's going to help them the rest of their lives. And it's a great experience. It's a great thing.
And Jimmy, you're right. For being a college coach and talking to colleges about our players and kids that are looking to move on, they're all asking for junior experience. You can't jump from high school straight into it unless you're, happen to be a high-end kid in Minnesota or something like that.
Right.
But, they are all asking people to have juniors. I got players looking at going in the Air Force academies, and one of the requirements is 2 years in juniors, and then they'll look at you, so it's a big thing. They all want you doing that route, and you're getting things at junior hockey that you can't get at sometimes you can't get at home. One is you're playing the mixed age of players. So you're going to have to be your top of the game, and those players are all at top of their game, and you're always competing. And a good example is we take about 28 players. And 28 players, the reason we bring in those many players is because of, one, injuries. This game of junior hockey is 10 times more physical. It's faster. You're on the ice a lot more, and it sounds cool and fun, but it does wear your body out if you're not used to it. And then, no matter how these kids come in on from the working out over the summer, it's on the ice, and it's a lot of hockey, and you got to be ready for it. But from there, it's the ability you bring these guys in because you want them to push each other. You want them to compete against each other. You don't have that kid anymore that shows up because mom and dad made them show up, and they play the sport because they just want to get out of the house. Now you have the kids that want to move up in the game of hockey. Some will stay at tier 3, some will go to tier 2, some will go right to college after that. They all have different ways and different options, but they're always going to be pushing themselves to get better. And while they're doing that, they're making sure that the person in front of them is also on their game, because if you're not, that player is going to come take your spot. So you're always pushing yourself in this game. And I believe that comes in a big thing in college, because it's the same exact thing. You have more on your plate in college, but you're pushing to be in a top team and be one of your top players. And hopefully, if you want to expand and get bigger in college, you can, and see where it takes you. But every college is recommending or, looking at players that play juniors to move up, other than you can play ACHA D3, you can walk on. Every program above that, it is a tryout, and you have to compete against, 20 other kids to get on that team. And it's the way college hockey is. So that's what junior hockey brings. It brings you the ability to come out there, push yourself, get out there, get more ice than normal. You can't go home and be on the ice 3 hours a day unless you got a big checkbook and you can afford to pay for some of these ice times these ice costs. Some of these ice costs are just crazy. So you're going to have to, compete, trying to get in there. And then with juniors, you're going to get that ice time. You should be getting that ice time. That's one thing you want to make sure you ask in your research is, how much times are you on the ice? Because that's a big part of the game. And then, from there you can expand and get bigger. But, that's just a couple things that we went over that, I wanted to make sure parents know this is what you're gonna be looking for. This is what the player is. My question for every single player is, how serious are you about hockey? Right. And we have that case. I know, Kirby, we do the youth skates over there, and Ali's been involved with it over here, and that's where I met Ali at. And you watch kids come out, and some don't care, right? Some are just there because mom and dad are making them, and that's simple, and you got to be serious about this game. So I always ask the guys, is this what you want to do? Is this how do you want to grow in a game, or are you happy where you're at? And the players tell me they're happy where they're at, then the conversation really ends, because then there's no point of coming over here and pushing yourself and having a chance where you just are unhappy. So the guys have to be able to come up and say, yeah, I want to grow in this game of hockey. It's the same question I have for Blue, and I even have for my own son, Anthony. I ask him the same thing. Even my daughter, I'm on the same topic with right now. It's, do you want to get farther in this game? And if you do, this is the route we got to start taking to help that. Everybody has a different route. Some kids are lucky enough to go tier 1. Some kids are lucky enough to go tier 2, but there's a path you got to follow. And if you follow the path correctly and work your butt off, it should turn out good for you, as long as you're willing to put the work in. I can tell you how to play the game. I can give you every play in the book, but if you're not going to listen and do it, then there's no point of, being there and doing it. So I like to make sure I ask my players that question.
Another thing you want to bring up with respect to just the location of where we're located here is, we're smack dab in between Minneapolis and Chicago, and it's tough for players to see sometimes, but being at the rink during games like I am, we get coaches and scouts dropping in just because they know they can get something quick to eat, they can use the restroom, and they can watch a period of hockey. And the amount of opportunity that these kids have of being seen by someone is high, and it every year it seems to be getting more and more. I think the word is getting out that we got decent food in the rink, and they can come in and stop real quick and grab something and watch part of a game and see. They always ask my concession person, who's the top 2 guys on this team, and they'll watch them, and while they're watching them, they're going to watch everybody else. So you just never know. Like I used to tell my son, you never know who's watching. And we have a unique opportunity because of our location. We're 3 minutes off the interstate, and it's on and off nice and easy. So that's another option that, parents should be considering as well.
And we have players in main camps right now this week. Bryce Jacobson got an offer to go to the final main camp. We had Colin March got an offer to go to final main camp. Who else am I missing? I know, John Ergo is over there at a main camp, final main camp. Potsy's at a main camp right now. So Anthony made a main camp, and he's gonna get an opportunity next season to jump up for a week and play with the tier 2 team. And we also got Brownie, who looks like he's gonna be making that team, in my opinion. But they're all at main camps right now, and they made it through the series of craziness and a couple hundred kids. And those are kids, 2 of them came in mid-season and joined us. And, those are kids that got opportunities. It wasn't the record that got them the opportunity. It's their playing skills. Yep. And they were able to get over there and get the opportunity to show what they can do. Someone saw it. Now, will they all make it? No, the chances are they won't all make it. But their name's in front of those guys, right? And the name and the program is in front of those scouts, and those are what those scouts see is, okay, hey, the Ducks brought in these guys to my main camp, and maybe they have more coming around. So that's where everything starts building and helps growing. So if we got a group, that's like 6-7 guys that are going through a main camp. That's a good chunk of a team that unfortunately didn't have the greatest record in the world, but they're proving that they got better. They got what they wanted out of the season, and now they're getting the opportunities they were looking for. And hopefully they can continue with those opportunities.
And all those guys that you just mentioned were on the ice as much as possible this year. and they wouldn't be where they're at if they're at a different organization. I don't think. A couple of those guys are extremely skilled, but the others, they didn't come into their own until this year, and it was their extra time on the ice that was offered to them that they took advantage of. So hats off to them. I wish them the very best if they see this before their NA camp is done, because good job, guys.
Well, I'm just going to add
Go ahead.
one thing real quick is, anyone who comes, and this is directly to the parents, right? If somebody comes to you and say, hey, that program is not good, that program is bad, they don't offer you X, Y, and Z, as a parent of a child that's playing hockey and getting involved in hockey, my question will always be, say, okay, instead of bashing a program, why don't you sell me on your program and tell me what your program is different and how my child or my player can benefit from being part of your program, and then make a decision from there on out. It's very easy for anyone to sit here or in front of you, somebody, and say that program is not good for you and that program is bad. You do so much better in our program, whatever that might be, right? But you're not giving any specifics. I know that Sean is very upfront, and in the case of Blue, told him at the beginning of the season, hey, you're a fifth line player, you have to fight your way making into the lineup. And towards the end of again, me and Sean have had many conversations over the year, right? So there's a point where Sean said, Ali, I cannot put him in the lineup because he have given me every reason and he have done everything right. I have to put him in the lineup. So, those are the players and those are the parents that, we want to be able to use to have those conversations with those parents that are second guessing or being pushed in a way, or don't go to X, Y, and Z because you may not get one, whatever that might be. But the program that they're talking to is not giving them any specifics either.
No, you're right. And then those are the things that you want to know. You want to compare apples to apples and see what each organization's offering. This is just basically a run view of what we've been over so far, right? You want to make sure you're in an area that your kid can walk around and be safe at. Just talking as a Duck, because I'm a Duck, been there for a while with all the program. It's a town where you can walk around and not worry what's behind you. Now, boys can be boys and they can find trouble, but for the majority of everything, you could walk down the street and number one, everybody knows everybody as long as they've been there. The people that are Dell's area people know everybody, Jimmy and Kirby, and that's awesome. And it's an area where you can feel comfortable when you're walking, you can feel safe when you're out, and people are going to recognize, our players are recognized by Ducks, and trust me, if anything happens, it's Kirby's the first one to find out right away.
Yeah.
And I mean, within like 5 minutes. So they don't do much because they can't get away with everything, which is great for me in my program. It makes me very happy. But it's, like I said, it's a safe town. So you want to make sure the area you're going to is a safe area where you can feel comfortable leaving your child. You want to make sure the billets are the big question, right? You want to make sure they have billets and it's actual, people who've been building for a while and take care of them, give your player a room. A bed, I know this sounds dumb, but there's plenty of stories of kids that have been in an apartment with nothing because that's where they put them. You want to see what options they have for billeting and what they take care of, and even reach out to the billet if you want to. I know our billets love talking and they love to answer, how they feel about the program and stuff like that, which we'll have later shows. Me and Jimmy got later shows with some billets on there, which is exciting. But that's one of the things you want to make sure, right? You also want to make sure that players are being looked at for what they're going to do and how they're going to work and how it's going to show for them in the future, a player's future. So do your research, understand, what's bringing them there, talk to people, get their different opinions of different, but ask for more than one. Don't ask for one kid and go, okay, this one kid hated Coach Falzone. Well, you know what? I'm the head coach. You're supposed to hate me. Maybe, so that's the plan, right? That's the goal, is them hate me, not hate each other. It doesn't always go that way, but that's the way it's supposed to be. And so maybe you talk to another player. Like, I brought Dawson and Anthony on because they're similar situations. They're different positions. Anthony is, of course, my kid. So even he got less games, even though he's my kid, it didn't make a damn difference. It was a kid who came out and he was supposed to earn his time. And and he was a rookie, and he took his time with all the rest of the rookies. And Dawson's another one that came in and was one of the players that got what we have as a low number of games, but he still got more than most of his friends that started junior hockey, and he got the ability to get out there and earn his right, and he earned that with no question. So those are the things you got to understand. Find out more about the organization itself. Talk, ask questions about the organization, how they're ran. You could ask about the what's the word I'm looking for, your rink and the amenities, what the team has to offer. Like us, we have yoga and we have off-ice training. We have the extra ice. We have a great facility that takes care of us. And get into that area and talk to them about those type of questions, and then figure out what your alternative is. If you don't play junior hockey, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay home and play practice once or twice a week, get a game in or two, do that hour of ice where you're sharing a sheet, or you're going through so fast watching the coach jump from team to team to team? So, look at what opportunities you have there, and if you find something that's better for you, awesome. But also understand that if you're going to go junior hockey, you're looking to make that step up and get bigger. That covers basically the whole conversation today. But anybody have any last minute comments?
Thanks for including us, Coach.
Oh, I love having you guys here.
I guess
ahead.
the only thing I'd like to add is, if there's a parent out there that has any questions, don't be afraid to call. Contact Sean through the website. Contact me through my website, Lake Del Nice. Whether you come here as a player or go somewhere else, for me, it's all about the kids. So I don't care where you go, where you play, who you play for, how much you play. I don't know everything, but I can give you what I know and hopefully point you to the right direction. If that happens to be the Ducks, fantastic. If it happens to be a different organization, that's equally wonderful as well. So there's no hidden agenda here by any stretch of the imagination. So let us know.
It's funny you say that. I jump onto Facebook and I answer questions with people that ask questions about juniors. I never tell them, you can click on my profile and go through things if you want to research me, but I don't go back and say, hey, I'm a Ducks coach. Here's my answer. I respond back as a parent or a coach or whatever the question is, and see if I can help somebody out. And that's my big thing, is same as Kirby over here, making sure we're helping the kids and see what we can do. Make sure you guys email me if you got questions, or you got questions that you want us to get back on and have a discussion about. I know this topic can go on and on and on, and we can expand and go crazier, but let's see if we can get people together and answer questions and talk and see if we can help you guys out. Sound good, everybody?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We'll talk again. Oops. And